Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to iTOO TV. My name is Tove Sitole, your host, and we are coming to you live from DroneCon in Emperor's Palace.
We have a vantage point which allows us to protect protection officers and ground forces and reaction staff when they go in, for example, in a pursuit and an apprehension. So oftentimes they would be ambushed.
Yes.
They could be ambushed. You know, they would assume maybe from a ground camera there are 2 or 3 individuals. They don't know whether they're armed. And we, from a drone perspective, can go up with that vantage point and identify. And oftentimes that happens. And so the example you were asking about, which comes to mind, is instead of 1 or 2 individuals that they need to go in and apprehend, there might be 10. And they might be armed. And therefore the operation changes. And so the instruction would be to hang back, and they would bring in additional resources. So that would be one. It protects the security officers. Another one would be, you know, the intelligence that we would gather for modus operandi that criminals use. So, you know, sometimes the drone teams would let the individuals, let's say, leave sight. We call that displace. And they would choose their path. And that would now be footage that could be used for intel that the security teams would study and say, actually, when they're on this part of the mine, they would escape here, or they would enter there. So intelligence, protection. And then there's just one last example, actually a few months ago, where a pursuit turned into a rescue, where a suspect was running from the ground forces or the tactical response team and actually inadvertently ran into a body of water. And started drowning. Oh my word! And the drone pilot monitoring the monitor, the screen, was able to radio through to say, "Look, this guy's drowning." So they actually saved him. Obviously, he was apprehended after, but it was a real classic pursuit turned into a rescue. Oh wow! So it just has that that vantage point of being one step ahead.
That's fantastic. And how accurate are the drones? Have you seen any instances where the drone has failed or the operation has failed because of a fault or anything in the drone itself?
Look, the drones are pretty advanced. They get maintained. They use GPS for accuracy of positioning. And with well-trained pilots and, you know, safety at the forefront, we don't really have situations where a drone fails. I think you know, the operational complexities that I spoke about in my presentation this morning do happen. But you build for that and you prepare for that.
Cool. And Kim, who do you collaborate with to ensure that the drone and the people on the ground, whether it's SAPs or any other security enforcers, who else do you collaborate with to ensure that these operations are carried out effectively?
Yeah, I mean, it could be, you know, so in terms of collaboration, it could be as simple as a ground private security force, an in-house security force, and the drone team communicating by radio. And the way I describe the drone is really, it's a tool in the toolbox of the security operation.
Absolutely.
So that collaboration's there anyway. And then depending on what the operation is, there might be multiple agencies involved. There might be law enforcement. There might be, you know, Metro Police, and sometimes multidisciplinary agencies when there are special operations. So they take many shapes and forms.
Oh, cool. And then Kim, just post the recovery actions, all of the data that you collect using the drone, do you use that as risk mitigation tools and for risk management in the future to sort of preempt things that are happening or preempt situations, and how you're going to circumvent them?
Good question. So the footage and in security, it's really, we would talk about footage, is is managed carefully, because of course it's placed people in potential criminal or suspicious situations. That is used to prosecute. So, you know, at the forefront of a security operation, that would place individuals at a geolocation on a time and day, and so that footage has time and date stamps and is geotagged. Alternatively, that footage is used, as I said earlier on, for training purposes, for intelligence purposes, and oftentimes training purposes for when we do simulations, and we then retrospectively in a war room type scenario where we would unpick that to practice you know, formations and how, you know, how operations were conducted. So it's very useful on all fronts.
That's amazing. And just in my mind, when I was thinking about security, maybe in my limitation, I was thinking of security, you know, police, hijackings, etc. But are there bigger operations where you use drones, maybe to secure a country in war zones or anything like that?
So, you know, in terms of bigger applications for drones, I mean, drones or remotely operated aircraft systems or unmanned aircraft systems have been used for many years. And in the military, it's a very well-known tool. And I'm sure we've all watched a movie or two where the drones are operated literally from a control room in country A, and that drone is either gathering intel or doing untoward things, depending on which side you're on, you know, continents away. So when we think about that and what we then bring in locally, we could be also, from a military or paramilitary perspective, using drones for border control. I actually haven't, or I don't know of a successful operation right now, but the application makes sense.
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
I think the thing to remember, as I said earlier on, is it is a tool. It's not a silver bullet. And so it has to be used in conjunction with other solutions too.
Absolutely.
And so border control, you know, you could expand this way more, but you would need the ground forces in that operation. And then bringing it into, you know, highway patrols or neighborhoods. The applications are a little bit trickier there, built up areas from a regulation and also privacy perspective. So I think, you know, law enforcement, first responders, anything like that where you could use that aerial perspective is absolutely an application.
Actually bring up an interesting point, because I'm just thinking previously people could even get hijacked when they're driving into their driveways, and then you'd first need to press a panic button in order for security to come. That would be quite useful for a drone to actually follow that action and get the footage and make it quite useful to keep the neighborhood safe.
Yeah, and so I think keeping neighborhoods safe is something that people call me about all the time. I guess the thing is, if you think about how a drone operates in the main currently with current technology, humans control it. And so if you need it in an environment where, in your example, someone comes home and it's in the driveway, that drone has to be there. So how close to the action can you be at any one time? In the future, and you might, you know, have planned to ask me this anyway, but the future might be more autonomous, which would take the human out of it, where these drones are just in quite movie-esque orientation, flying around our neighborhoods and making decisions. But I think we're a long way off.
Okay, all right. And maybe let's turn our attention to your passion project. You apparently love speaking, or actually run a training for girl children. What does that look like? So my passion, and how my colleagues refer to my side projects, is, you know, standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves, but also in our environment, in tech, in 4AR, and however we talk about this,
it's about giving everyone an opportunity. And the equal opportunity is really around, are the people that would ordinarily not put up their hand to say, I'll become a drone pilot.
Yes.
Given the opportunity to be trained to become a drone pilot. And so I am part of a organization called Women in Drones, which was established, I think, 8 years ago now in the US.
Okay.
And we have a group here called Women in Drones Africa. And it really is all about encouraging and giving a platform to women in our industry. I caveat that by saying aviation, which is where we operate these drones, is very unforgiving. So it really is an equal opportunity. And those that shine and do well are those that really do. And that has to be whoever it is. But Women in Drones really, and this is not my saying, I've stolen it from the founder of Women in Drones, Sharon Rosmark, and she says, if you can see me, you can be me.
Absolutely.
And that is the motto that we go by. So we have a number of female drone pilots who do security, who work night shifts, who do the hard yards in our company. And those are the ones who would be out there as an example, sharing their stories. And if school kids can be inspired by saying, I can see myself in Kulega.
Absolutely.
I can see myself in Vero.
Absolutely.
I can see myself in Tobega. And those would be the kind of things where I would say, just encouraging, the dream. But we've made dreams come true. And so we just do that little bit as we can. So we've got some cool projects coming up. And the more we can encourage, the better.
That's amazing, Kim. So do you only do that work in South Africa? I know that you're part of a global network, but do you only do it in South Africa, or are there other branches in the rest of Africa where young ladies can become part of this drone initiative and become drone pilots?
So personally, I've not done active work in Women in Drones Africa in the rest of Africa or outside of South Africa, but we do have something called the Fireside Chat. In fact, it's happening tonight.
Okay.
It is online, and we have had speakers, female and male speakers, but a lot of female speakers of predominant kind of drone personalities across Africa. And there's a lot going on across Africa. So I know about it. I'm not actively involved in it all.
Okay.
But we're growing. And so there's exciting stuff to come.
Very exciting. And how does a young person get in touch with your projects? How do they get involved if they want to inquire anything? Is there any way that they can get in touch with you? Yes.
So anyone who wants to know anything about the work we do can look me up, Kim James. I'm in most places on social media. People call me DroneChick, so hashtag DroneChick, and I should come up.
Hashtag DroneChick.
And I don't know if I may take this opportunity.
Yes.
But Aero SA is coming up.
Yes, it is.
You guys might
be
there.
We are at Aero SA.
Okay, Aero SA has approached me and Women in Drones Africa to exhibit.
Okay.
And so we are exhibiting.
Okay.
And we have such exciting stuff coming up, including, and you heard it first here on, what is this called? ITV Live?
iTOO TV.
iTOO TV Live. We are launching our Build Your Hours program, where any unemployed drone pilot can come and actually build actual logbook hours with us. So we're going to put that on at Aero SA, and we've got lots of cool stuff there, simulators, and there's a competition and all sorts of stuff. So if anyone wants to know anything and they're in Gauteng, or they can get themselves to Gauteng during Aero SA, that's the place to be.
Fantastic. That is amazing work, Kim. Thank you, Kim, for joining us. And thank you to our viewers at home. You have been watching iTOO TV, coming to you live from the drone conference at Emperor's Palace. I'm signing off. Tove Sitole from iTOO Special Risk, your epic partner in specialty insurance.